Hi friends, welcome back to Five Oaks Farm Stitching. My name is Rachel and this is Flosstube episode number 10. I can't believe that I've been doing this for 10 episodes. I started back in September and I have just had so much fun. So number 10 is a big milestone, I would say. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for joining me. I've made so many friends along the way and I'm just thrilled to be a part of this community. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it. If you did that, give this video a like. You can even give a hype. I didn't even know what that was until a few weeks ago. And so I make sure every week to go in and just hype a few of my favorite Flosstube channels so that I can give them some love, and it just pushes their channel to new people when you do that. So I would really appreciate it. And I'm gonna do something a little different today. I'm going to save my life/family update for the very end, and I will start off with a finish. I do have a fully finished object. You have seen it before as just a finish, but I did get Snowman's Christmas Eve into the frame that I mentioned that I really wanted. So this is just a little oval frame from Hobby Lobby that is bendy and made of rubber. It's very interesting. It comes in a pack of 3. So here's the other 2. So you get a really big one and then a small one, and this is the medium one that I used. And so I'm not even gonna do it because it's really hard, but you just pull the wood off of the white and then put your piece on there and then snap the wood back down. And I will tell you, it was not easy. It is a tight squeeze, but this is the wood color that I was hoping to get for this as I turned it into an ornament. So this was my Whip Go call for February, and I had set a goal to finish it, and I did at the very beginning of February. And then when I was at Hobby Lobby the other day, I grabbed these and just glued a ribbon on the back. It does have a hanger, but sadly, when I put it on, I had taken the hanger off so that I could really grip it, and I put it on upside down, and I was not going to take it back out. I was so worried about hurting my project. So I just hot glued some ribbon on there and it looks just fine. It'll go on the tree this year. And that is just such a cute little snowman face. That's my favorite part of the whole thing. This was a free pattern from Waxing Moon Designs, so you can definitely grab it yourself. I shared last time, it does take longer than you would think. There's quite a few specialty stitches and just more stitching than it looked like, but it turned out so cute. So that is my only FFO for this week. A quick update for those of you who won a pattern in my 12 Starts of Christmas. I have not forgotten about you. I'm sure you feel like those patterns are never coming. About 5 weeks ago, I ordered a pack of mailers, bubble mailers, that I wanted to use to send charts that I was giving away so that they would be protected in the mail. And they got lost in Amazon. I went in, reordered just last week, new stuff so that I could ship them out to you guys. And then they sent the bubble mailers. So now I'm loaded on packing equipment and getting those in the mail this week. So if you won a pattern during my 12 Starts of Christmas, where I did 2 giveaways for every episode during that, those are going out very soon. So be on the lookout. Sorry it took so long, but they are coming to you. I can't wait to show you guys everything I've been working on. I always think it hasn't been that much. I'm sure there's just a small pile, and then I pull everything out I've stitched on in the past week, and it's just a ton of stuff. And so I love sharing that with you guys. I'm gonna start with my advent calendar by Durene Jones. I've been working on this consistently since I started, trying to finish this by probably the fall so that I can fully finish it for Christmas. I am going to show you all of them and tell you about something I do want to do with these. So I have made it to 10, and that was my goal. I haven't finished 10, I'm almost finished with 10. But this was the very first one I stitched, and I'm gonna set it aside as I show you all the rest because I want to share why I'm going to probably restitch that one. So I have been working on these for a while. I need to do a little repair. Something happened with my back stitching right there. These were the first, this was the first pattern that I used that really had a lot of color changes. Even though these are small, In her hair, you know, there's multiple colors. In her wings, there's multiple colors. In the very first one, there are a lot of colors in the little reindeer. So this was a learning experience for me. I had to learn how to really pay attention and read a chart. It was also the first time that I did backstitch on a pattern. So this has been really fun. I feel like I've grown up a little bit as a cross stitcher doing this. I'm still new, still learning. This one got squished, I don't know how, but little Christmas tree. And so one thing that I did not do a very good job of on this very first one was pay close attention to the colors. I had a few floss colors wrong. I don't know if when I was at Hobby Lobby, someone had thrown the wrong color back in and I grabbed it, not checking, or if I just grabbed what I thought was a close color because they were out of the one I needed. So some of the colors in this little reindeer are not accurate. And then I didn't look at backstitch with one thread, or one strand. I know that it doesn't matter, that you could do your backstitch. All the other projects I have right now that are being backstitched are with two, but this one called for one, and I do like how it looks with one. And so when you look at these others, they just look a little more delicately outlined, and he's really thick. And so I think I am going to redo him now that I am better at reading these and I am better at backstitching. I'm going to redo him. I'll still use this little guy and make him into a separate ornament like for the tree, but I am going to redo the little reindeer, probably not till I get to the very end and I have finished all 24 of these, but I love them. They are so fun. I'm almost done with number 10. This was my goal, to get 10 done by February. All I have left is the same border at the top down here and then backstitch. And it's so cool to see it go from this to that little bear once you get all the back stitching in. So I'm having a blast. These are so fun. I cannot wait to have them in my house at Christmas time. My friend Jen at Jen's Threaded Tales and I are buddy stitching this. So she just finished the tree, so number 9, and we're kind of keeping up with each other on that. So the next one is Spring Quaker by Lila Studio. I am doing quite a few color changes on this. I shared before that the alphabet is going to be in a shade of purple, and then some of the Quakers are going to be changed into a purple, and then I am just moving things around a little bit color-wise. I liked how this flower had color, so I wanted to make this flower have color. But this is actually a black, even though it looks blue to me, and I didn't want a black in there. And so I'm using the green from down here as stems in these, and then using that coral for the flowers. I cannot wait to stitch that cute little town. This is very fun. It's a slower stitch for me because I'm doing it on an 18 count sugar cream pie from BeStitchMe. But I love it. It is so fun, even if it is something that I don't move as quickly on. So this is one of the flowers. I've changed the color. So this is now a green. And then I'm using the coral from the other side. Some of the Quaker motifs will be this brown, just like it's called for, but then others I have a purple, and this is I think a purple silk from BeStitchMe that they gave me as like a free sample. And so I'll be just kind of changing things up. There's another little motif over here. Let's see. Okay, I got confused there for a second because I knew that right here was a little motif, a little design of some sort. I can't show it to you because then I'd be showing you the pattern, but it's not on this. It's not on this picture, but on the chart, there's a little motif right here and it's brown. And I was just going to point out that I'm going to change that little guy to a different color. I don't know what color, but as I move through this, I will be adding colors or changing colors Not a ton. It's still going to mostly look like this. It'll probably just look like I did this exact pattern and added purple. But I just wanted to add a little bit of color to it. Who knows when I'll finish it, but I am loving stitching on it. One question I did want to ask those of you who stitch in hand, because I do stitch in hand and I usually don't have any trouble. You know, this is a big piece of fabric and I don't want to cut it until I see how far across. I mean, I know how far across I'm going to go, but I think it's going to use up most of this fabric, and so I don't want to cut it just yet. But because I started over here, when I roll up the other side to work right here, I'm holding the thin side that I'm doing the work on. The other side is heavy. So I use Wonder Clips and clip it together so it's a small little piece, but it still hangs down. And I feel like because I stab and poke, I go under and I'm moving my arm around every single time. So if you stitch in hand and you work with a big piece of fabric and have some advice, please leave it for me so I can stitch this a little bit easier than I'm doing right now. I do sometimes throw it in a hoop and work on one part and take it back out, but I do love to stitch in hand. So if y'all have some tips, I would love to know. If I have the projects in a cute bag, I'll share. I'll be honest, most of my projects right now, I don't know, I guess because I started so much in the Christmas, New Year's season, I ran out of bags. And so the little basket next to my couch that's supposed to be all cute and organized for my projects so my living room doesn't look messy is just full of 2-gallon bags. It looks like a mess. So if I have it in a project bag that's cute, I'll show you. But a lot of them are just in Ziploc bags right now, so I won't show you those. That's not exciting. Okay, this one, I'm so excited to share that I have completely changed my fabric. I love this pattern so much. I talked about how B&E Stitchery, they were talking about this pattern, and it made me super excited to pull it out. But I had started this on an 18 count lunar from BeStitchMe. And I know those of you that stitch on like 56 count linen are probably like, she's scared of the 18 count. I'm not scared of the 18 count, but it was slow going, and with this white, and I love this pattern, and it was just so tiny, which I thought would turn out really cute, and it would, but I realized I was not pulling it out to stitch it because I was not enjoying stitching it on this fabric. So I will probably use this little guy, that first little snowman that I stitched. I will finish him and turn that into an ornament. But I knew I needed to change my fabric, and I'll tell you what motivated me. I was watching Maggie from Homemade on the Ridge and Emily, the Shady Grove Stitcher. They both started a Prairie Schooler, I think it's Christmas Village, for their New Year's Eve start. And they got pretty far along and then decided they wanted to do a color conversion and change the whole thing. And they talked about that in their last 2 floss tubes. And seeing them change a project they had gotten that far into it made me feel like I could definitely change this. And I had just got this little piece of Pistachio 14 count Fiber on a Whim. And I am now doing my Row of Jacks by Teresa Kogut on this piece of fabric. I didn't think it would fit, but it actually is the perfect size to have all the little snowmen go across, and I love it. I love the color, and it is so much easier for me to stitch. You gotta stitch what makes you happy, and you gotta stitch on what makes you happy to stitch on. So I'm excited about this now. I can't wait to work on it some more. And I just think this green, this color red, when I did this little star, I just thought if there was some kind of red work or like Christmas pattern that you would pick the fabric and only stitch with a red, this would be such a pretty combo to do that on. So I may have to get some more Pistachio Fiber on a Whim fabric for my stash. I feel like most of this whip parade here is gonna be bouncing between Christmas and patriotic all over the place. But the next one is Long May She Wave by Abby Rose Designs. This was one of the patterns that Cindy gave me in the wonderful box of goodies that she sent. And I am doing this on a 14 count Fabric Flair Nude. I changed the colors of the flowers. On the original pattern, it has white and pink. I felt like the white ghosted even on this, and I knew it would ghost on mine. And so I am using the called for green. I changed the color of the flowers. I'm also changing the top of the pattern. It changed the flowers. It has the flowers charted differently up there. And I know y'all have probably seen in many of my videos that I change things to make them look more, I don't know what the word is, balanced or even. I'm kind of weird about that. So I am matching the bottom with the top. It will make my chart go a little bit further to the side. And then I will do the flowers like this going down. And then once I get that whole border done, I'll probably start with the house and the grass. And I may rechart these words too. We'll see once we get there. But I think it's gonna turn out really cute. It is super fast to stitch. I love working on it. The colors are really pretty. And I told y'all last time, I'm not sure which red I'm gonna use. Someone did suggest a red that I'm gonna pull and see how it looks. I also pulled, it may be crazy, and those of you who've stitched a lot longer than me may think that's not gonna go with that, but I thought I might also try the 115 variegated for the flag. We'll see, I'm not sure yet, gotta decide. But I keep that in one of my little heart bags. I have quite a few of these available on my Etsy shop, but I kept one for myself. I made like 8, so I was like, you can have one. Next is Plum Street Samplers, All Is Calm. This one I mentioned I'm stitching twice. Right now I'm stitching it for my dad. I'm going to stitch the donkey brown to match his draft mule, James, that he loves so much. And I am stitching this on 14 count vintage taupe Zweigart fabric from Hobby Lobby. I think last time I had just part of this tree done. So I finished this tree and then I just kept moving around trees and snowflakes. I'll stitch this again for myself after I finish it for my dad with the regular donkey, because you know we have 3 donkeys here on the farm. It's so cute. I love it. And because I was stitching this for my dad and it has an animal that my dad loves, I will tag her Flosstube in the description box, because right now I can't think of it, but she's super sweet, super young. And she shared Owl Forest embroidery, if I'm saying that right. It was called Cardinal, let me see if I wrote it down. Red Cardinals, sorry. Red Cardinals Owl Forest embroidery. And so I'm going to do that one for my mom because it's about the same size. She loves birds and she loves cardinals. Another one I started was Snow Glory. These were on sale with Fat Quarter Shop recently. And this actually has 2 patterns in it. So this is Stitching with the Housewives, their Sassy Stripper series. It has this little snowman, which I've started with a flag, but it also has a Santa with a flag as like a bonus chart in here. I can't show it to you because it's only the chart, but I love this one. I just pulled floss from my stash. So these are not the called for colors, but this is the vintage taupe from Hobby Lobby. It's a skinny little chart that is stitching up very quickly, and it's a lot of fun. And I thought for this year being the 250th celebration year, it would be a good year to add some Christmas patriotic ornaments to our tree. So that one's fun. And I have another piece of fabric to do the Santa stuck in there too. Back to Christmas. I've been working on Button Up. I started here and I'm working my way across. I'm staying up with Donna from Cross Stitch on the Hill. We're kind of buddy stitching this too. She said she's gonna go to this one next, starting in March. So once I finish this square, I'll move here too, so we can kind of stitch this together. And I love it. The colors are beautiful. I just know I'm going to stitch a ton of Prairie Schoolers in my cross stitching life. So this is on 16 count Sand Dollar by BeStitchMe. And I am almost done with this one. So I just need snow down here and to do the border. So if I just worked on that one night, I'd be done. And I love it. I love it on this fabric. I definitely would buy some more of this for Prairie Schooler patterns. Speaking of which, I was watching Donna's last Flosstube and she was talking about one of the Prairie Schooler Santas that she's been working on. I don't have a single Prairie Schooler Santa in my stash. I would love to do one. And I was thinking, I have an antique 150-year-old piano in our living room that we were given when we first got married, and I love it so much. And at Christmas, I decorate it with Santas. So the whole thing is covered with my Santa collection. And I thought, how neat would that be to have Prairie Schooler Santas turned into a banner hanging across the front of the piano. So all the Prairie Schooler Santas, maybe I could fit 6 across there, and then all my Santas up at the top. So I think I'm gonna have to get a few Prairie Schooler Santas and start that project. Next is Blackbird Designs, America the Beautiful. I got a tiny start on this one. I am happy to report this is an easy border. I love when you can figure out the pattern and you don't have to look down every few seconds to see if you're doing it right. So this is an easy pattern to follow on the border, and I just got a little bit done up here and started on the flagpole. So there's my tiny start. And I have this going on 14 count Moonstone from Fiber On A Whim. That's a little better. So only browns on there so far, but it'll be nice and colorful when I get to that flag. I'm keeping these blue flowers. I love them. And I have decided to do yellow for the rose. Not just for Yellow Rose of Texas. A lot of you had shared that there's something special with the yellow rose in veterans too. So I thought that's perfect. I'm going with the yellow. I have not picked my yellows yet, but it's a long time till I get to that flower. So I've got time to figure that out. And I kept working on Luke 211 by Stitch Area. I was doing a word a day. I did that for many days. I did end up taking a break from that, not really on purpose. I just wasn't doing my word each day, but I'm pretty far into it and it is very easy. Y'all know I love stitching words. This is 14 count Vintage Oat from Zweigart from Hobby Lobby. And I am just using colors from my stash. I just pulled a green, a yellow, and then in the chart, Luke 211 is a red. I'm gonna do a brown for like a tree trunk. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and a half letters. I am in Savior. Oh, so yeah, I only have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half left to go. Really, because these are so tiny. So it's really fun. If you like stitching words, and you want an easy Christmas stitch, I highly recommend. I shared the link with quite a few people after my last video. It is not an expensive chart and I love it. And I finally got halfway, there we go, halfway through, a little over halfway through my Frosty Tiny Town. This is my big giant project that I am doing for all 12 months of the year. So 12 tiny towns stacked on top of each other. And I was laughing because I pulled out this little piece of paper with all these notes on it from the store, from my LNS, that's about an hour away from here. And she had wrote down, I mean, she sat and did math for like 5 minutes straight to help me figure out what size I needed, how far from the top to start, how far in between my tiny towns, and making sure I was all set on my fabric, serged it for me, did all this work. But I was laughing because I pulled this to see what this is. And it says 16 count Cafe Mocha CF. I'm assuming the CF is short for whatever brand of fabric this is. I don't know what that is, so if you know, you can tell me. But the part that was funny was it says stitch count, and she wrote ha 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 because it's gonna be 176 by 492 when I finish with all the tiny towns. And have you seen Nashville needlework? I'm gonna say it wrong, but there's a new one, and it's the Needleworker Tiny Town. And I'm tempted to switch out Valentine's for that one, which I know that sounds crazy. I'm torn because I do love having the seasonal ones in there. Any month that has a seasonal tiny town, I want a seasonal tiny town, but this one is a little more spaced out than the rest of the ones that I chose. And so I love it for Valentine's. It's just a little, there's just more spacing around the housing than the other ones that I picked, which is not a big deal. And I'll probably still stick with the Valentine's because it's gonna have the Patriotic in there, it's gonna have the Halloween, but I'm really tempted to find a way to get that needlework tiny town in there, but I haven't decided. So, I mean, you guys know, I will probably do this one next. And then I chose Quilted Tiny Town for March because I'm a quilter and March is my birthday. So those are the ones I have so far. I do have one to show you that I got while I was at the needlework shop the other day. And I do, y'all are gonna be like, oh my goodness, how did you not know this? But when we were working on this fabric and I was telling her my plans, the owner of the needlework shop, she kept saying, this is gonna be so awesome. This is gonna be so much fun. You need to send me pictures as you work on it. I'm gonna share it with Cecilia. She kept saying over and over how she was gonna share it with Cecilia. And I told my husband, I don't know who Cecilia is, but I guess it's maybe the other owner of the store. I don't know. And then I got home and I was like, oh, Cecilia, the person who designed all of these charts. And then I felt silly that I was just going, okay, I'll show you. So a few things I got at the needlework shop the other day. We stopped by after a track meet. Anytime we're within like 25 minutes, I'm like, oh, we should swing by because it is out of the way to get there. So I had two things I knew I wanted. I wanted to grab a few scrap fabrics from the bin that they have where they get down to the end of their scraps, or end of their pieces of linen and fabric, and then they just put it into this basket and it's all tagged by how much it is, just little pieces of things, which I think is fun to look at and go through. And then I knew I wanted to get a Mill Hill kit because I've been telling y'all that I want to try one, that I want to make a Mill Hill ornament for each of my kids this year. And so two of my kids went in with me, and my daughter found this. And as I've shared before, she's a beach lover. She loves the beach. She wants to live on the coast. And I was looking at like the Santas and the Snowmen, and she said, oh, can you make me this? And she didn't even know what I was looking at it for. So this one is called Sandy Claus. It's hard to see with the glare, but it's got a decorated palm tree, a little crab with his Santa hat. So this one will be for my daughter, and then I'll probably end up doing snowmen for my boys, the Jim Shore snowmen that they have. So I'm excited to try this. This will be new. And then I saw she had this in stock. It's more Any Tiny Town. So there's an Any Tiny Town, and then there's more Any Tiny Town. And I had wanted to do the more Any Tiny Town. I think I have it slotted for maybe May, but I liked that it had what I thought was a quilt shop right here. The cool thing is it gives you the full alphabet. So if you wanted to change like pizza, now showing, I mean, I probably won't. Oh, I also love that it had a church. And so I grabbed this while I was there because I don't have all the charts yet for that project. And then I got a little piece of flannel flower by Fox and Rabbit. Just a long skinny piece. And then a little bit bigger piece of Latte Aida, 14 count Latte Aida, country French. You guys might be able to help me figure out. It is a very long and skinny piece. Very, very long and skinny. So this would be fun for like, I think I have a few Christmas and like words that go across. And so this would be perfect for something like that. And those were pretty inexpensive little pieces to try. I've never tried Fox and Rabbit before. So sadly last month, because of that winter storm, I'm assuming my BeStitchMe order got lost. And even though they said it was delivered into my mailbox, it was not. And my postal office cannot find it. And my only neighbors are my family, and they said they didn't get it. So sadly, my January fabric is somewhere, not with me though. And I was so excited to get February's. This is Winter Ash, 16 count. It is a light gray blue. It's very pretty, and it was such perfect timing to get this color because I was watching the Vino Stitchers. I always watch when they have a new episode, and she posted on her Instagram, that's Robin and Katie, and Robin had posted a, I'm gonna say this wrong, I know I'm gonna say this wrong, but Jardin Privé, I think is close, you'll know what I'm talking about. She posted a birdhouse pattern, and it had birdhouses across for every month. And I know y'all are like, she's obsessed with anything that is for the months of the year, but I really do love seasons and holidays. And so it was winter all the way through for each month. So like the first one that she's stitching on was a little birdhouse with like a little bird with like a hat, and it looked snowy. And I just commented that I just thought that was adorable. And she reached out and said, I have an extra copy of these patterns that I got at a freebie table, and would you want to stitch it with me? And I'm so excited. She put it in the mail, and we're gonna buddy stitch that, and I'm going to put it on this fabric. So that was just perfect timing, and I'm so pumped. Robin, thank you so much. And if you haven't watched their channel before, you definitely should. They have a new video out. Some happy mail I got that's not cross-stitch related, but kind of, because I use these to make project bags, is the Charms Mini Charm Pack Club. I rejoined just recently. I used to be in this club, and it was so much fun because you don't know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get 4 little charm packs. They're all usually wonderful for a project bag, and it's things I might not order if I was just on there searching. So I got 4 new charm packs in that club. And then this is a club I've wanted to be in for a really long time. And it's the Lori Holt Fat Quarter Club, Fat Quarter of the Month. And so February, got all these pinks and reds. And I've been using Lori Holt fabric to make my blue jean bags, the pocket bags. And so I was excited to get some of these. This is so fun. I'm excited to get some happy mail every month. And then I shared on my Instagram, if you follow, that I wanted to do a new stitch, a new start, a new stitch for Lent. And I had some My Big Toe patterns in my Etsy cart for a while, and they went on sale, and so I went crazy and bought quite a few. So the one that I am going to stitch for Lent is the Old Rugged Cross. And I just think that's beautiful. It is simple. It is only 4 colors. Here they are. I think I was supposed to buy 2 of each one and I didn't, but oh well, we'll go back for that. I have pulled 14 count Nude for this one. So that one I will start right away. The other one I got is Holy, Holy, Holy. Again, 4 colors, so easy. And this one, it looks probably the same on camera, but this is 14 count Historic Beige. It does look a little bit darker. So that one will be for Holy, Holy, Holy. And then I grabbed 2 more. I saw Stitchin' Mommy working on this. Is the Books of the Bible. I have enjoyed that Luke 2:11, stitching a word a day or whatever, you know, I end up doing, but I've enjoyed that so much, and I thought that's exactly what I will do with this one. Sit down and just get one book of the Bible put in there. And I think I have the floss for this, but I don't have fabric for that one yet. And the last one, this one is Doxology. Again, I have the floss because it's only 4 colors, but I don't have a fabric picked out for that one. And then my Sweet Wing Patreon chart for this month, Be Still and Know. Printed this one out. So I'm in that Patreon. And then I went and found a few freebies. One of them, I'm gonna try to fold it so you can't see the chart. I was watching 2 Needles Pulling Thread, and I don't really know what exactly they were addressing, but they were just sharing that, like, even with a free chart, they don't share the chart, and I don't either. And the reason I don't is I know that for whoever designed it, it benefits them if you visit their website, and there's other things you might see there, and you might need to sign up for a newsletter to get some of the freebies. So that's why I don't show them. So this is Tiny Modernist. I printed that one. I think that's adorable. Little winter Christmas pattern. And then I have a stack that I printed because actually 2 Needles Pulling Thread shared that, like, Punkin has so many freebies, and I cannot believe how many freebies they have. I printed, I'll tell you what they're called because they're really cute and you should check them out, but I can't show you because there's not a picture. So I printed Aunt Bee's Summer House, Rosie's Pumpkins, Little Miss Liberty, and Stars, Stripes, and Chickens. And there were probably hundreds more. Those were just the 4 I printed, and they're adorable, really good freebies if you haven't checked them out. And then I did so good in January and the first half of February. I don't think I bought a single chart, and now y'all are gonna be like, you've lost your mind. So then I'm gonna say this wrong, but is it Puntini? I had found, let me see which chart it was that actually, oh, I know which one it was. Which one got me looking that then got me in trouble, but not really, because it was a really, really good deal. So I saw this, I'm a sucker for the alphabet, spring sampler. Someone shared this finished, and I went to look for it. And then I saw the summer sampler, and then I saw the winter sampler and the fall sampler. And then when I had those in my cart, it was like, if you spend a certain amount of money, for the next 4 days, they're doing a sale, and you get like 50% off. And so I bought a lot of charts. So, but it wasn't super expensive. So I definitely am excited about this one. I want to find a spot in my house that I can stitch all 4 of these and then just change them out. Maybe even like do a frame that could be changed out. So there's the winter one. So the alphabet is pretty much the same in each one, and then the stuff around it changes, but it's all so cute. Summer and autumn. And so those were the reason I got there, but then I found these little animal, they call them, they just say spring animals and things like that. But my family loves animals. I am in a family of animal lovers, and I saw these little rounds and thought for Christmas, making one for my mom, my dad, and my 3 sisters, they would love these. So if you are my mom, my dad, or 3 sisters, and you're actually watching this, look away for the next 1 minute, because I'm going to show what I'll be making for Christmas. So my mom is the bird lover. I'm gonna make her the owl. My sister has actually swam with whales, I think maybe on more than one occasion, and loves any kind of sea life. So I'll be making her a whale. My other sister, who lives on the farm too, down the road, I'll be making her a cow. And my baby sister will get the sheep. And my dad, he loves raccoons and mules. They didn't have a raccoon, but they had a squirrel. And I've seen him tame a squirrel and feed it out of his hand before, so figured he gets the squirrel. And then this one I just wanted for myself to decorate for Easter. She's so cute with her little eyelashes. So I got all of those animals, and then when I think of winter, when I think of spring, and I really like it seems like all of these, almost all of them are on the same kind of fabric, and it is not a color that I have ever stitched on. This one's a little different, but the others look more like what I'm thinking people call like the raw natural look. Hopefully I can get it in an Aida, but there's Easter. And then this one I thought was so funny, and I want to stitch this and put it, when you walk in my house, I have a bunch of bookshelves, or like our little library nook, and I have a ton of books. And this says, just one more chapter. And other lies I tell myself. So I have a perfect spot for this. This can sit on a bookshelf. And I've been really bad. I read 3 books in January and made my crochet blocks. I have not read a book in February. I don't know what happened, but I've been stitching away and sewing away and not reading. So I gotta get back to reading. The last thing I'll share are a few bags that I have. There's quite a few bags. I'm proud that I've kept bags in my Etsy shop, because usually I can do like 2 or 3 and then they sell and then there's nothing in there. And I've been able to just keep loading things into the Etsy shop. So I do have 1 blue jean bag left. I've sold 3 of these. I love them. One of my dear friends, I showed her that I was making these, and she was like, I have a pile of blue jeans you can have. And so I am excited. I have 8 pockets now. I can go make 8 more bags, and I'll list those. And I've just been using Lori Holt fabric. This is from her autumn line. I don't know which Lori Holt line this is from. It's just, I stitch with what's in my stash. I don't really make big plans and buy bulk in one thing. I just stitch what I have. And then I have one of my original project bags. I think this is called Brookside, this collection on the front. And it's got the little tag. It's got the magnet stuck in here for your needle. I love this fabric on this vinyl bag. These vintage toys are so cute. I love this. So I have this one done, and I have 3 more I'm about to finish. Like everything is done other than sewing the vinyl down to the bag. So there'll be 4 of those available. And then I have a big stack that are almost done. So I just wanted to show you this fabric. Sorry for the big crease in it. This fabric I'm using to make 4 vinyl bags. Those will go in soon. I just thought that was so cute. And then I have a couple Patriotic vinyl bags coming up too. Just started quilting this one. So if you are looking for a project bag, I am gonna start adding some different stuff to my Etsy shop too. A couple different things I'm gonna sew that are seasonal, banners and things you can hang around the house. So we'll see. Whenever I get those done, I'll share them with you. And I'll just end with a little mini update on the family. We did wrap up wrestling season. My son made it to state. He was ranked 6th in the state of Texas going into state wrestling championships. And we wrestled our first match. He wrestled his first match and won. And it was amazing. And then he had his second match, and he pinned the guy that he was his opponent. Had him pinned. There were some college scouts behind us, and they were complaining, why aren't they calling a pin? Why aren't they calling a pin? They didn't call it. The guy got out of it. He pinned him a second time. They blew the whistle, slammed the ground. My son and his opponent stood up, took off their little ankle things they wear, and the coaches from the other team started yelling about something, and then the refs started him-hawing around of, well, we don't know. And really what it boiled down to was Brooks pinned him twice, should have won that match. The coaches of Brooks's opponent decided that Brooks had maybe pulled his jersey at some point, and the ref actually allowed not only for them to reverse the call of Brooks winning, but then racked the kid's points up. It was very, very confusing, and we're pretty sure he was wronged pretty badly. And so they restarted the match with them having equal points when Brooks already had higher points than the other kid. And within 20 seconds of restarting, he pulled Brooks's arm and tore something right here. And then he ended up, the other boy ended up winning. And so it was, just be honest, it was quite devastating. In the grand scheme of things, we always look for the positive of, it could have been worse. We saw kids being carried off mats. We saw kids walking out in crutches. We're always thankful for all the blessings, and we always look at the positives, but it really was sad to see that was how his senior wrestling ended. And he worked so hard to get there, and we just felt like we don't know why those calls were made. There were coaches from other cities across Texas who stopped to say to him, you were robbed. Like, this was taken from you. We don't know why they did that. And our coach, filed a complaint, but there's nothing, at that point you could do. And he couldn't wrestle after that. He could have even gone on and wrestled to try to get third. But what ended up happening was Brooks had pinned that young man twice. And then the injury happened with the bad calls. And that young man ended up going to finals and wrestling for second place. So in our mind, we know how far he could have gone, and his arm is healing. Sadly, he won't be able to participate in track. That was the next thing on his list for senior year, was to throw discus like he always does, but his arm isn't healed enough for that. So we're thankful that he is healthy and he is healing. And really, it was an amazing wrestling season. We wish that hadn't been the ending of that story, but he handled it like like a man. He handled it better than a grown man. Honestly, I think most grown men would have handled it. He was, of course, devastated and had to process, but he just is so resilient, and his dad and I definitely took it worse than he did. So I am beyond proud of him, and I am thankful for all of you that have followed along. And now we're in track season, and we had our first track meet last week. My youngest, who's a freshman, my daughter, who's a junior, they're throwing discus, and my daughter's throwing shot put too. And they both placed third in their first track meet of this year. So that was awesome. And we'll be ramping up shows. So my son has his band and his music that you guys have followed too, and he will start having a lot of shows in March and April, and that means we'll get a little busy with that, but it's all fun and it's exciting, and everything is good. Everything is good, and I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for this channel and all the friends I've made, and I'm just glad that you're here and that we get to spend this time together. So I will sign off with that. I hope you all have a wonderful time between now and the next time we see each other. Happy stitching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.